everyone, this is Kelly from The Truth in Story, and today is Sunday the 24th. Look, I think I actually got it without, oh please be right. Why can't it's, no, oh there it is. So why isn't it so obvious on my phone? Yes, today is the 24th. 24 days from the 31 days of tarot and through January. So we're getting like on the home stretch. I am sure that you're all thinking, okay, let's move this along. My brain's tired. I had one of those days today where I don't know if I may be coming down with a little bit of something. I kept saying yesterday in the live chat that I was so hot. And I really was, and I mean, the heat, the heat in my apartment is very odd. It's one of those units that is an older, it's a small apartment building, and so there's only like 5 units in it, and they all share the same heater, and so the heat comes included, and you can adjust within your own unit, but it gets very hot in here. Generally, I have to crack a window. Last winter, it's only my second winter here. Now Isabel's dog door on the patio does provide cold air coming in, but it's hard to, it's either chilly or I'm getting roasted, so I'm not sure. But then today I had one of those days where I really, because the ad ended up, my main work, weekend work was done on Friday, I actually had today pretty much off. I mean, I had readings to do, but there wasn't anything I had to do like immediately. And so I just, sometimes when you work, many days, and you get a days off, it's like you just turn into like a blob. And I was kind of feeling blobby. I got some things done in the morning, but not much. And it was early afternoon, and I think it was like noon or so. I don't know what time it was, but I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna go lay down and take a nap. Which I didn't need a nap. I slept for a long time, and so, and I kind of woke, you know how if you sleep like that during, I don't know, I'm not a nap taker. I know a lot of people can take like quick naps. I don't take naps generally, and when I do, I always wake up feeling kind of strange, especially if they're long, and it was a long nap. In fact, I had messaged somebody. I'm like, "What are you doing?" Because we were possibly going to get on Skype, and then I fell asleep until I was very hungry and had to eat supper. I guess I needed to sleep, so I'm either maybe coming down with a little something, or I just needed to catch up on sleep. So I'm not stressing about it. I do still feel a little bit warm, but it could be the apartment. I did take Isabel out for a walk though, and that was nice because it was like 32 here Fahrenheit in the United States. So it was chilly. I mean, it was cold and needed gloves, but it was like a sunny day, and the sidewalks were dry because it's such a pain with her fur when it is wet out. She comes back, her whole, because she's so, they're little, Shih Tzu's legs are not very tall, and so she comes back just like muddy. She has to have a bath if it's wet out and we go for a walk. She has to have a full-on bath, and I wasn't really prepared for that. But it was so dry out, so I'm like, okay, let's go. She loved it. Took a walk and only had to wash her feet off because it's salt. But anyway, I did get out and take a walk. But other than that, I feel like I have been a blob. And not even like the one time I was a blob and I watched TV for like all day long. This time, I don't think I've done anything. I've tried to catch up on some videos, but not even much that. I've just been sleepy. So I don't know. We'll see. I hope I'm not getting sick. I'm taking echinacea and stuff, so every time I even think I'm getting sick, I peroxide my ears, take echinacea, start drinking a bunch of tea, my vitamin C, like do all my things proactively to stop it, which I have to say most of the time works. Most of the time, if I'm feeling kind of off, like I'm going to get sick, and I like hit it with all my things I can hit with, it generally either cuts it off completely, or it's a very short, it never like goes in full blown, so I just kind of feel but I never go into that full on, I don't feel good. But we'll see. Will she I can't talk. I'm tired today. I don't know why I'm shuffling right this minute, because we have a question to do. let's see. So the question for today, the 24th, is, and I did, somebody said, why don't you put the dates next to them? So I did do that, and that does help. Thank you very much. How accurate do you believe your readings are, or do they accurately convey messages from spirits or deity? Whoops. There goes my phone. I need to mute it. I don't know why I don't do that straight off the bat. I don't really read for spirits, or, I don't have to read like where I don't read to connect to spirit guides or the sense of the divine, really. It's not that I don't think whatever you might believe about the divine is always going to impact everything. I mean, that's the point of them being divine. So it's not that I'm saying that the divine never has an impact on it, or the higher consciousness, or whatever you kind of have that idea of what is out and about and around. It's not that I don't believe that has any impact, because I think that certainly does have impact, but I don't read to get a message from the divine or to get a message from spirit guides or anything like that. So I don't read for that. So now I lost it. I'm going back to see, or I'm trying to find it again. How accurate? Well, I guess because that's a hard question. Sorry, I had a hair on there. That's a hard question. I believe that all readings are useful and helpful. So in that sense, I believe that they're accurate because they're conveying what needs to be conveyed at that time. I guess that's generally how I approach a reading, is with that while there may be specific questions and and things such of that nature, I'm generally approaching it from whatever the basic question is, with an overriding understanding of what is it that needs to come through right now. What is the message that needs to come out right now? What is the work that we need to do right in this moment? And so whatever comes up, I firmly believe should come up and has something to say. I've said this many, many times, and I fully stand by it. I believe that any card in any position for any question has something to say about a situation, or whatever the topic is, or for whatever person I'm reading for. The message is there, and I think it has something to say no matter what it is. So in that sense, I think that they are accurate in the terms of, I think they are useful. They have something to offer to the person who is getting the reading, or to myself if I'm reading for myself. So in that sense, I think very much so, because I think they all have something to say. Now, that is kind of, I know, taking a sidestep away from the intention of the question, because if you ask the question, is it accurate, then you are, by nature of that phrasing, talking about fortune telling or divination or future casting, looking into the future, and is your looking into the future accurate? So that's a little bit harder because of how I believe the future is. I do not believe in a fixed future. I don't believe in fate. I do believe in things happening outside of our control. You all know that. I mean, most people who are watching this know me and have heard me say all these things multiple different times in different ways. But I personally do not believe in a fixed future. I don't believe that any way you can look into the future and say XYZ is going to happen. I just don't believe that that's possible. Now, other people do believe in a fixed future and do believe you can look forward and see things. I'm not making a judgment call on that. I'm just saying that I don't believe it. I believe that everything that we do, from the smallest details to the larger details, every decision that we make changes things. So by the very nature of getting a reading and looking into something and taking that action of trying to find your path, you've changed the path already from what it was before. And so I don't believe that you can, I don't believe really, I guess, approaching it is in terms of accuracy, because what I see a reading's being for is sort of a signpost. So if we do a reading and it kind of is looking like the future is moving in this direction, you know, the pathway is shifting into this direction with X, Y, and Z, perhaps, you know, down the road there. That's a signpost. And if you like what you see, if you say, okay, that's the direction I want to be going in. My energy that I'm going, whatever's happening right now is moving me in this direction and I like that. Then what I always say to the people that I'm reading for is that if you like the way, if this is going in the direction that you want it to, then you need to be making decisions and choices that continue to move you along that path. If you don't like the way it's looking, if the energy and stuff that's going on in your life right now is taking you down a path that you don't like the looks of, then you need to start making choices and decisions that move you away from that path, if that makes sense. That's the whole, in my opinion, the whole point of getting a reading is to sort of see what are the energies right now and how are they affecting the path forward. If you like it, keep making decisions that way. If you don't, start making decisions that move you away, but it's still on the other person. It's always the power for me in a reading and an outcome of a reading is always in the hands of the reader, or not the reader, of the person that I'm reading for. I'm there to help them see the energies that are going on right now, help them work through any issues that are going right now, work through whatever their questions are, get a kind of feel where the direction of things are going. And then the power always remains with the person that I'm reading for. I don't believe in taking somebody's power away from them by saying, this is going to happen, you better just buckle up and be ready for it because this is happening. For me, personally, that removes the power of choice and the power of direction of their own lives of the person that I'm reading for. And so A, I don't agree with doing that, and B, I don't really believe it. So because I do believe that that very moment they see where things might be headed, things can already start shifting from that very moment. And so there isn't, that power is always in the hand. Again, are there things that are outside us, personally outside of our control? Yes. But I don't think of that in terms of fate. I just think of that in terms of either just things that are outside of our control, or B, just there are certain courses that just by, once it's set in motion, unfortunately, it's just the way things have to go, and you can't change that. You can change reactions to it, you can minutely shift things, but you can't completely change it, as I've talked about with my son being sick. I could do everything I could to move it in the best direction possible, but in the end, much of that was outside of my control, and it was simply management. And so there are things in life that are like that, and you can kind of look down the road and see, where things are headed, but that is that's in the realm of common sense sometimes, more so than, just looking at cards. So I hope that makes sense. And then when you start to talk about relationships, because that often comes up, obviously, when you talk about relationships, that's two people making their own choices and decisions, small and large, that are affecting their lives. And so seeing forward and predicting, concretely predicting relationships become even, twice as impossible, because you have two sets of people who are making choices and decisions that can, small and large ways, affect the paths of their lives. So that's why I do approach readings about looking forward, because I do a lot of times have past, present, and future, but I don't look at that future card as saying, bam, this is what's happening. I look at the future card as the energies are right now and what we're looking at, what we're discussing, what we're doing, they're moving in this direction. This is the way things are moving if nothing changes, and or, depends on the question, and or if these kind of changes are made, that's going to shift things in this direction. So it's kind of like signposts that, it's like, I want to say, I'm pretty certain that Buddha was asked, did he believe in God, or was there a God? And he said that it really wasn't up to him to make that decision for somebody else, whether there was a God or not, that he was just a finger pointing at the moon. So it was just kind of pointing things in the direction, and then it was up to the person to make that determination and figure that out. I feel like I think of that a lot in terms of reading, that if we're kind of getting there and looking at the cards and looking at the energies and looking at the possible pathways and things like that, it's that sort of like the finger pointing at the moon that says, okay, given as this is, it's kind of moving in this direction. If you don't like that, you need to start making life changes to shift that away as much as possible. If you do like that, then it's time to start reinforcing that pathway and keep things moving in that direction. So I do think of readings as fingers pointing at the moon more so than big neon signs saying this will happen, kind of thing. So, and that is because I don't believe in a fixed future. So that is the long answer to, I guess, that question. So hopefully that makes sense. If not, and you have any more questions about that, pop them in the comments. I will address them the best I can. So yeah, that's a touchy subject. Well, the money's a touchy subject. Certainly with tarot reading the future is certainly a touchy subject in the field, because you do have people who don't read at all for the future, not even sort of directionality, where are things, how are things going, are these things moving in this direction. They don't look at all like that. And then some people do straight up, do fortune telling, and exactly how is this going to, exactly what's going to happen. Or you're going to meet, a dark-haired man in a long trench coat in January of 2016, and he's going to be your soulmate for the rest of your life. There are different camps, and I can't say I do believe that the belief of a reader has very much to do with it. And so I'm not precluding that somebody might have the ability to get flashes of the future, to see kinds of things like that. I don't have a set thing saying that could never happen. But what I'm saying is that you can see a flash of something in the future. I'm trying to work my way around this, because I've definitely had experiences with short range future things that were quite powerful in my life experience, that were powerful and clear enough for other people to be able to verify. Very short range, and that's, I guess, another thing that sort of solidifies for me that understanding that because there's so many variables that if you get too far out, there's just too many things that can change. There's too many people that can affect a change of a situation. So I don't... So I'm not saying that a person couldn't have some degree of psychicness or whatever you want to call it. I know a lot of people don't like that word. I'm just not sure what. I know there's all the clairs. I don't know what they are. But I'm sure that there are people that can have and do have flashes of things that may happen in the future. The problem is this a flash of what might happen in the future? Because the further that you get away from this point, the further you get out, the more choices and decisions impact it, the more people's choices and decisions impact it, and it starts, I believe, to get very difficult, if not impossible, to tell the future because of that. Now, does that mean it's never going to happen? No, I'm not saying that. But for me, the purpose of reading the cards isn't to get a concrete factual future. It's to see where things are heading and to either help somebody, see that so that they can make choices to move their own life in the direction that they want to move their own life. So even if I could, let's say I was highly psychic and I could look forward and say, your life is going this way. To be honest, in that situation, I mean, that's a hypothetical question. I don't know that that would be a helpful thing to give to somebody, because again, anything that I think takes away somebody's sense of control, or in whatever degree they may or may not have, is problematic as a reader. You know, my goal as a reader is very strongly to keep the power and the control and the forward motion in the hands of the person that I'm reading for. And so giving concrete, this will happen type things, in my opinion, I think it's suspect because of the way that the future can shift and move. And B, I think it's suspect because it is taking power from the person that I'm reading for, which is, to my book, a big no-no. So I hope that answers it. I feel like it's kind of a choppy answer, but I mean, it's stuff that I still constantly think about and work through in my head. You know, we're none of us fully where we are going to be in what we think about everything. And so that's something that I chew over and mull on my own self, because there are times where you know, things happen with the cards and you're just like, whoa, you know, that's just really amazing. And so you're constantly chewing over those kinds of topics. And so for me, I can, in my own brain, hypothetically and or, you know, forward thinking about, ooh, what do I think about this and that? And or talking with friends about, well, what about this, you know? But in terms of me as a reader, I just always keep that firmly in my head that my goal as a reader is to point out what I'm seeing, and it's the goal of the person or the job of the person receiving that to do what they want with it, and to move themselves in their direction that they want to go in and keep their power. So that's that question, which I think I've stopped and started over and over again, which just goes to show that it's an interesting topic, and what I might discuss theoretically is very different than what I might discuss in an actual reading, because you do have responsibilities as a reader, in my opinion. So there's that. I do love tomorrow's question. Looks quite interesting, as does the next one. Next couple days look quite interesting for questions. Okay, so I have the Messenger Oracle right here just because that's the one that I grabbed. And so I'm going to go ahead and do a reading before I fall asleep at the table or something, because I literally feel like I could go back and lay down and go to sleep. So let me go ahead and pull a card before I fall asleep, because I'm going to say again, I'm feeling very hot. So I don't know, send me some good energy and healing energy. I don't want to get sick. So here we have, this was the one card that I do feel like I've made my peace with it. This was the one card when I did the walkthrough that I was kind of like, I don't really, I understand the message, which is let go of the old. But most of the, excuse me, most of the cards in this deck, you know, the images just really pop to speak to what the message is. And this was the one that I thought was a little bit like, you know, what message, I understand the message, but how is the image relating that message? We have a peacock here, clearly, and one side is that, you know, traditional, how you think of a real peacock, and then moving into this side we have almost the look of a phoenix. And I'm sorry, I know I was really waving that around, probably making you nauseous, because it's kind of making me a little nauseous. So there we have moving into a yeah, that did make me nauseous. Oh, I hope I'm not getting a flu bug, people. I don't want a flu bug. I actually haven't had a flu, really like a flu for a while, and that's kind of what I'm feeling like. What do you see? Isabel's very intent on something in front of the door. Yeah, I'm feeling a little yucko. Oh, I don't want to feel yucko. So here we have this moving to, we must persevere, moving across almost a phoenix feather. So, I mean, it's like, you know, there are stuff that we need to let go of. Lots of people are doing, I love Ember the Big Fat Witch, her channel, she's been purging out her closets, which you would think like, what, you know, Why do you want to watch somebody purge out closets? It's actually quite fun to watch. I'm a big closet purger. I do it routinely. I start to get, I guess, claustrophobic because I do live in quite a small apartment. And when I first moved out on my own, I should know how many years it's been, but I don't know, like 4 years ago or whatever. I was in a very small apartment, smaller than this apartment. This is a small apartment. I love this size apartment. It's perfect for me. But it was an even smaller apartment. And so it was that, and I kind of was starting entirely fresh. I didn't, I don't want to get too personal, but I really didn't take a whole lot with me. I just took what I needed. And so the only things that were around me were things that were important, and I only got things that I needed because my finances were tight and things like that. And so I only got things that were important and that had a reason for being there, that were important to me and or were functional. And I quite liked that feeling. And so as I had to shift it into an apartment that was larger, that had like wheelchair access for Michael. And so that fairly shortly after that, so that they have the wider doorways and things like that. So the whole apartment was bigger even than like a normal one because it was made for wheelchair access. And that even felt too big, but I started, and then when you got extra room, what happens? You start accumulating stuff. And so somehow I now have, I'm a small apartment, but I have a storage area downstairs that is full of stuff that I need. I don't know where it came from. I need to, I do. My ex had kind of sold the house and moved out of the house, and so there was lots of things in the attic and things like, so stuff started like, just throw it in here and throw it in here, kind of thing, and I'll go through it. So I have accumulated quite a lot of stuff. And then when I moved here, I just all shifted because it had a storage unit, so I just threw it all in the storage unit. Okay, I'm getting far off topic. The point is that generally I'm one of those people that like every couple months I'll just go through my closet and purge things, and I'll just keep doing that. I'm overdue for that for my closet, because I do have 2 pretty good sized closets in here that need to be purged, and my storage locker needs to be purged, but it just is daunting. This card is telling me to do that before January is up, because that was kind of my goal, is to get out. January is kind of that purging month. Let's get rid of things. So we can start the rest of the year fresh and clean. And so let's get rid of stuff. It's time to let go. So, January is starting to wind up, so I better get that done. So there we have that. We also have that just in terms of mental stuff too, our internal stuff. There's a lot of things that we hang on to, that we cling to. That idea of clinging comes out in Buddhism a lot, that we cling to a lot of things. That clings to a notion of security, cling to notions of self and things, and separation, and there's all kinds of things that we cling to that isn't very healthy. And that in terms with past things, emotional things, it's just stuff that we need to let go of. But see, once we do, but what's interesting to me about this card is the card's already, the peacock's already beautiful, but it goes through a transformative state if he's able to let go of his old notion of self, and he can transform. Yet again, even though he's already a creature that's somebody that's beautiful, there's another transformation coming when he's able to cut things loose that are holding him back. So I guess this is a message to us. This is about as good as my brain today is going to come up with, I guess. But I guess that's that message of both physically in our houses and our spaces, that it is a time to, we've got, one more week of January? See if I can actually see a visual calendar. So yeah, we have literally a week left in January. So maybe this is the week for us to, do all those last minute purging things out. That means for me, my 2 closets and my storage locker need to be cleaned out and purged, and finished of the purging of my decks, which I've kind of got like going here and there, and so I need to just like get it done. I have already shifted 2. I traded with 2 people for decks, but that's not purging so much as swapping. But anyways, so that, but also that internal, that kind of lasts. I mean, it's not like we're always in the process of doing these things. So it doesn't mean that when January's over, you can no longer internally purge and check yourself. I think that if we're doing those checkings all the time, which I guess for me is kind of the full moon, because on the full moons I do readings for myself as well as for other people with that kind of like, what do I need to let go of? What is okay to hold on to? And then what energy do I want to focus on moving forward? Those, for personally for me, I really like those because those are check-ins. So if we're doing those things throughout the year, we don't have as much to do at the end of the year when we're really trying to do that big kind of cleaning, of cleaning things out. So there we have it. I'm sorry this is a little bit of a disjointed because I do feel a little funky. So if you have any extra get well energy, not get well, like stop sickness energy to throw my way, I would appreciate it. I'm going to go down some yummy, delicious echinacea tea and what else other concoctions I can come up with to put this at a halt. So I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will see you tomorrow for this, our last week of daily, almost not, well, a week away from 2 months worth of daily videos. All right, see you later.